welcome to In Frame. Hopefully you are seeing and hearing us clearly. We experienced once again some minor technical difficulties as usual, but slowly the bugs are being ironed out. Our guest this week is Zack Parks, a University of Memphis film student and a BR2 Productions intern. Say hello.
Hi.
Before we start talking to Zack, there's a few things I'd like to cover. Now that, of course, the Live from Memphis group is no longer with us, it's going to be harder and harder for us to find a good source of information on what's going on in the arts community around us. And by no means will I have a complete list, but with a quick look through Facebook, I found a few things that I'd like to mention that are going on this week. Monday nights, of course, you have the Inner Fire acting class, which Rising Fire Productions does. Myself, my partner Jamie Hall, who could not be with us again this week, unfortunately. And the indie acting class in Bartlett with Forrest Pruitt, both going on Monday nights. Tuesday night at 7 p.m., Jim Weeder's ASVS release shindig at the Bayou Bar and Grill for the on sale of DVD party. I guess ASVS is being released on, I think it was the 19th, is what I saw. And he will be holding a release party, and there will be cast members, filmmakers, and I believe he's going to have DVDs for sale and things like that. So come on out, support Jim Weeder and ASVS, At Stake Vampire Solutions, with its new DVD release. And hopefully Mr. Weeder will be bringing a copy of that here to Black Lodge as well, and adding it to the local filmmakers section. Also Tuesday night, 7 p.m. till 1 a.m., at the Memphis Rehearsal Complex. Robert Coletta is hosting the February showcase with a focus on rock, and I believe they're celebrating a few birthdays among the musicians involved as well. But among the performers will be Alive Once Again, Clay Markley, Cheryl Theory, Welcome Wagon, Jad and Cassandra, Seed, A Moment Shy, and Arvada, and if I've pronounced any of those incorrectly, I apologize. Again, that showcase is from 7 p.m. till 1 a.m. at the Memphis Rehearsal Complex, which is located at 296 Monroe Avenue, downtown Memphis. So come on out, support the artists, support the music. There'll be, artists will have some of their artwork on display for sale, and a whole night of music, and it's a BYOB. Of course, no underage drinking allowed or tolerated. Thursday night, beginning at the University of Memphis Theater and running through March 2nd, will be their stage production of The Government Inspector. So support your local stage and your university theater and check that out. Saturday night, 8 p.m. at 1847 Lounge in Minglewood is the next Sinister event for the darker crowd that wants to go out and have a good time at the club. Those are some of the things going on in your community this week. Go on out, network, meet other artists, get to know each other, find out what each other does, and find a way to help each other out and build your community of artists. On that, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Zack Parks. Zack, tell us a little bit about yourself. Now, I know you're a university student.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in school. I know you just finished a project.
Yep.
And how it is you came to be an intern with BR2.
Well, the first story is I'm a University of Memphis student. I joined in 2010. I'm a film and video production major, and it's been really interesting. I've had a few classes like film history, one, and introduction to film. That's the first time I watched Blue Velvet, for instance, great film.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and but over the years I've met a lot of fascinating people. Great people. They're very encouraging, very supporting, and it's been a real interesting ride.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So how did that lead to interning for BR2 and Craig Brewer?
I had heard of him, obviously.
Of course.
Seeing the Oscars. Hard I Hear for a Pimp winning best song,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember reading about the Footloose. The first I'd ever heard of the Footloose remake was when Kenny Ortega left it 2 days before Michael Jackson's "This Is It" came out, and I thought, oh well, the strain of losing Michael must have been hard on him, and a couple months later, I heard that Craig Brewer had been attached to the Footloose remake. I thought, oh, that'll be interesting. Then a few months later, the trailer came out, and I thought it looked really interesting. So I read that in July that Craig was going to bring Footloose to the Malco Paradiso,
Mm-hmm.
a sneak preview. So I got up and went out to Spin Street, to get a ticket, and I'm standing there in line. I'm tweeting, in line for Footloose tickets, woohoo! And 5 minutes later, Craig tweets back, "I'll be there in 5 minutes." I'm like, great. And I look back, and there's like 12 people standing there. And I'm like, oh, I've called him out here on account of 12 people. He's going to get mad. But, by the time he shows up, there's about, 40-some people. And he brought donuts for everyone. And I go up to him, for a donut. I said, "Hi, Craig." And he looks straight at me. And he says, "Hi, Zack. How are you?" But at that moment, my mind kind of like imploded because a Hollywood director has acknowledged me by name. And I get my ticket, and I'm kind of perusing the DVDs at Spin Street while watching him, giving out tickets, because I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna give away all the tickets, and he'll come in and start looking at DVDs, and then I can kind of, we end up looking at DVDs together, but that didn't happen, so I drove over to the Paradiso, and I sat there for about a few hours, watching movies and grabbing a Coke and some Americone Dream at Ben & Jerry's, and it's good stuff. But I go in to the movie theater, saw the movie, it was great, and I go up to Craig and tell him thank you for letting me watch the movie. We take a couple pictures, and then fast forward to October, and he brings the movie on opening day to Studio on the Square. I didn't have any money at that point. I didn't, as is per usual.
I was going to say it's a very typical, especially here in Memphis,
Yeah.
for the filmmakers to have no money.
Too much. But I just thought I'd go over and say, good luck and have a great weekend. And so I went over there and said, "Hi, Craig, how are you?" And he said, "Great." And he says, "Are you coming to see the movie tonight?" And I said, I would if I could, but I don't have the money for it. And he says, "No problem." Hands me a free ticket. At that point, I'm just like, I had to run out and grab my laptop, and I'm typing the review as I'm sitting there, and he's over by the table, signing autographs and taking pictures with people. And then there's like this 2-minute period where, nobody's coming in. And so, he comes over and sits by me, and we start chatting, and he asked me, why I want to be a filmmaker. And I said, well, I really want to, make funny movies and have people laugh and have that great communal experience that only movies can bring. And he gets a phone call, and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have to, answer this." And he looks at the screen and says, "Hey, look who it is." He holds it up, and it's Dennis Quaid. And I'm like, it's Tuck Pendleton on the other end of that line, but he takes the phone, and he's, talking, and I'm just sitting there and on. Saw the movie again, still great, and he comes back in, and he asked me where I'm from. And I said, "I'm from Moscow in Fayette County, and I have to drive 40 miles every day." He's like, "Holy shit." So he's like, "Here, let me give you my assistant's email, and you can come and hang out with us sometime." So I did, and I felt like I'd kind of botched that first meeting because I was stuttering and just very nervous, and I sent him this page-long email telling him how sorry I was that I was stuttering and everything. He's like, "Dude, it's all good. It's just, don't even worry about it." And then January 2012, I asked if he wanted to go see Red Tails because, George Lucas executive produced it, and he said, "Yeah, sure, come on. I'll bring my kid and my, my grandfather with me." And I got to the theater, and it was sold out. And I stood there, waiting, and one of my friends, Hunter Dusing, came by, and he said, "Well, what are you doing here?" And I told him what had happened, and he's like, "Dude, just go see another movie." He says, "Look, here, I work for the Memphis Flyer. I'll give you a free ticket. Go see another movie." And I said, "Okay." And he went away, and I just kept standing there. And Craig came out, and he's like, "Hey, were you in the movie theater?" And I said, "No, I couldn't get in." I was like, "Oh, no, that sucks. So, see ya." And so I just been standing there for all that, but a couple days later, he was like, "Hey, do you want to come in and do something for us?" And I said, "Sure, absolutely." So I come in, and he's helping. He's asking to stack comic books, put in CDs and
Right.
yeah, for Hex and Hell, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And he just says, we'll keep you on call, and if we ever need you, we'll call you for you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, no doubt by now you've learned that Craig's a pretty down-to-earth guy.
Absolutely.
He's by no means a Hollywood type.
No.
He's very
Personable.
approachable and very personable. I've known Craig. I actually did a small scene in The Poor and Hungry.
Yeah.
And have known Craig since before Hustle and Flow and before all that. And you made me laugh with your story because there were a couple of things that excuse me, a couple of little funny things that I have similar stories about. Like, you mentioned that Craig brought donuts for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, on the set of Morning Ritual, the only money spent on the film, to my recollection, was Craig went out and bought a light bulb for the ceiling
Cool.
and a donut for me because I asked for a donut. So there was the donut thing, which isn't consistent. And I'm trying to remember what the other one was now. I've gotten sidetracked. But Craig has always been very supportive of the local community and the filmmakers and the artists and the musicians. Many of them are people he knew long before he got to where he is now. Yeah. The other one was the phone call. It was Dennis Quaid.
Oh, yeah.
When we were driving in 2002, we were taking Morning Ritual down to Nashville for the Nashville International Film Festival. And most of the time on the ride down and on the ride back, he was on the phone with Terrence Howard.
Oh, cool.
So I was, I'd hear little bits of noise out of the phone and then hear Craig's comments.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's Terrence Howard on the other end of that line. And, I don't know a lot of his work at that time, but I had seen him and I knew what this meant for Craig.
Yeah.
So it was funny, being with him when he gets those calls. And he is always very busy.
Yeah. I was there, I was sitting in the office when he got the call for the Katy Perry movie. And he comes and he says, "Okay, Paramount just offered me this Justin Bieber movie." And I went, "Oh my God." But he says, "But it's about Katy Perry." And I was like, "Oh, that'll be interesting." And I said, will they let you talk about, Russell Brand?" And he says, "It's all open." And I was like, wow. It's like, that's like a great 60 Minutes kind of deal, but it was just that much better than that,
I have to admit I haven't seen that one.
It's good, It's good.
I'm far more interested in the things that I know Craig himself has written and directed because I find him to be a very impressive storyteller. I like the realism he brings to his characters and the human connection that I can feel with pretty much every character he creates.
Yeah. Well, in that email, I said that, let me re-answer a question that you asked me about what is it that you like about my movies. And I said there's a signature to them that you look at his movies and you can tell that nobody else but him could have made it.
There's a definite and I think this is true of most artists and filmmakers. There is an absolute consistent theme that I think runs in his work. And to me, and maybe some of this is based on perspective, but to me his films are about having a dream or a goal and then doing what it takes to achieve it.
Right.
Which is indicative of his fight to get where he is. It's I mean, of any of our individuals to get where we're going. I often, I made a little film for Live from Memphis. Used to have the little film fest, which was a quarterly festival. And a few years back, they did one with a theme that was Craig Brewer. And I did a little. I was like, what would I do? This is one I have to do because Craig gave me my start, so I've kind of got to do something. And I had to think about it for a little while, but I ended up doing a little project that was basically a autobiographical parody of his work, using the true story of what he did for me. which was, with Morning Ritual, I had the dream to do something, and
Right.
he, of course, gave me the ability to do that.
Mhm.
So I bent that into a story where, I took him that specific script, and he made it, I knew he'd help make it happen or whatever.
Yeah.
But then in the structure of the film, I basically paraphrased, bastardized monologues,
Mhm.
shots, location. I mean, I had Lindsay Roberts come in as Harper in costume and come up to me, and I don't. If you've seen me in
Yeah.
Poor and Hungry, I'm
Oh,
the
yeah.
drug dealer at the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah,
So we kind of did the same type of a scene, only this time instead of me selling her drugs,
Yeah.
she's trying to sell me a VCR.
yeah.
And of course, I end up taking the VCR, and the VCR in my character's life in that little film
Mhm.
becomes the cassette that Eric Tate's character
Oh,
finds
really?
in the radio.
Oh, cool.
I go home, I plug in the VCR, and all of a sudden the Poor and Hungry pops out. So I was like, oh, what's this local film?
Yeah.
So I watch that, and then there's Eric's monologue when
Mhm.
he's sitting on the rocks by the river
Yeah.
with the earphones on, and you have the cello music by Kirksey going, and you have that monologue from Eric about...
I don't know if I believe in God.
I don't know if I believe in God,
Yeah.
exactly. I took that and rewrote a paraphrasing of it
Yeah.
so that it was my character saying the same type of thing about seeing this movie made by another local man.
Oh, yeah.
And, I had a lot of fun doing that. We shot, it starts out with Man Ain't Like a Dog.
Man ain't like a dog.
I turn to a girl, she gets out of my car and walks around the front and joins Harper, and they go off. I was driving a hearse at the time, so it's this giant
Oh, wow.
old 70s Cadillac front end.
Yeah.
We shot it at the same bridge
Oh, cool.
that, I think it was the Carolina Bridge,
Uh-huh.
downtown, where he shot that opening scene for Hustle and Flow.
Yeah. Still has the Alan Love Mania on it?
Yes, I think it
Oh,
did
cool.
at the time. I think the water tower was gone, or
Oh.
something was different. There was
Yeah.
something visual different about it, but it is the same location.
Mhm.
So I did all these little things to nod to
Yeah.
Greg's films.
Um,
But he really is, he's a strong storyteller.
Mhm.
And I really, really enjoy watching his characters come to life on screen
Yeah.
because they are so signature.
Mhm.
And he really does maintain a certain specific voice
Yeah.
consistently through his work, even into Footloose,
Yeah.
which I did not expect to like
Yeah.
because I did not like the first one.
Mhm.
But as soon as I found out
He was involved.
Craig Brewer's going to do it, I realized I'm going to have to go see this
Yeah.
and see what it's all about.
Mhm.
Believe we're going to take a cutaway here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at your little project that you
yeah.
just filmed,
Right.
student project.
Yeah.
You just filmed it at Poplar Lounge.
Mhm.
And this was there a specific task put forth by your film class or teacher?
Dr. Appleby just said, no dialogue. And
Okay,
then
so
just go
this
crazy.
is a no dialogue
dialogue.
piece by
Music.
Zack Parks,
Mhm.
and we'll take a look at that, and we'll be right back with you.
All right.
I met you on somebody's island. You thought you had known me before. I brought you a great...
recently completed at Poplar Lounge.
Mhm.
Has this been turned into your teacher yet?
He has it, but we haven't screened it yet.
You have not yet screened it. Okay,
No.
so you haven't gotten your feedback and all of that.
No.
Have
He
you
seemed to
shown-
like it though, and it's rough going.
Have you shown it to Craig?
I sent it. I tweeted it to him. I have not had his response yet. I hope he likes it because there's a specific shot in that short film that specifically references Footloose, although it's kind of. It's the shot of it is the feet going up,
Mhm.
and I tried to repeat that shot from the beginning of Footloose '84, because I knew he'd catch that, but it doesn't really look the same. But I hope that the feet going up tips him off.
Well, it's a clever piece. I
Mhm.
of course watched it before we started the show. It's a clever piece. 1 minute long, you said?
1 minute long.
1 minute long. How long did it take you to shoot?
About 2 hours, from 11:30 to 1:30.
That's not
Sunday
bad
morning.
at all. Good
Mhm.
use of time. How long did it take you to edit?
It took the span of 2 days because I could only edit it on an iMac at University of Memphis.
Okay. Now, is that because that's what you had access to, or is that with the stipulation?
I tried using what I usually edit with. I usually edit on Sony Vegas 7, and
My
just-
tech is giving you the thumbs up because he himself loves Vegas.
but I didn't know how to convert the files from MTS into. I tried doing WMV, and then I tried and convert it into WMV to upload to YouTube, and for some reason it just would not convert. It would render and then it would just crash. You know, as Vegas usually does. But
He's nodding like he understands what you're saying. I personally am not the tech person. That is
Yeah.
Ken's job.
yeah.
Um,
Hopefully I can go back into that iMac and upload a better, higher quality version of it from there.
Okay.
And so,
Now, was this... I already know the answer to this question, so I guess it's unfair to ask it this way, but I know this was your first digital project.
yes.
You mentioned that you had actually done a 16 millimeter
Yes.
film with
Yes.
Eric Tate.
With Eric Tate,
Okay.
star of Porn Hungry. He's a good friend of mine. It was the last project for our Motion Picture Production 1 class.
Okay.
And the other members of my group had already shot theirs, and they'd kind of left me with the bag. And so what I had to do is I had to, call a group of friends on Twitter and just say, look, I need some people helping me with the lighting and everything. And I got a couple guys, to come out and help me. And Eric came out, and we shot this sort of homage to Fletch, where a guy comes in, picks up a computer, and starts messing with the lights in the University of Memphis. And it's all scored to Harold Faltermeyer, one of my favorite composers. And it turned out nice. I really like it. I got a C+ on it
Okay.
because I don't think Appleby, I don't think he quite
Well,
appreciated it.
Film, like we were talking about comedy at one
Right,
point before
subjective.
the show, is a very subjective thing
Mhm.
to... No, please, go ahead.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry.
It's a very subjective
Yeah.
thing. So, I tend to like things that are not the stereotypical Hollywood movie.
Right.
I of course I grew up on comic books,
Mhm.
so I loved the Avengers. I
Yeah.
love, and I realize those are popcorn films.
Yeah.
But when it comes to true filmmakers,
Mhm.
my top is David Lynch,
Mm-hmm.
Alfred Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick,
Thank you.
things like that, where they really, there's an artistry
Yeah.
to the film, not just a process to
Mhm.
the film.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with the formulas
Mhm.
of writing, which
Yeah.
I need to work on, because if I'm going to become successful or if I'm going to sell a script, I certainly have to know those things, and Craig would be the first person to probably
Yeah.
tell me that, as well as to tell anybody else that.
Mhm.
But I don't think that short films and experimental projects, I don't think it's necessarily fair to judge them.
Yeah.
I think you can judge them on the merits of, is it a successful production?
Right.
Does it have high production value and
Mhm.
things like that? Are the performances solid? But I don't think you can judge specifically the content or the artistry of it any more than one person can say that Jackson Pollock was a good painter, and whereas other people think he was a hack and he just
Right.
threw things at a canvas.
Yeah.
So it's a very subjective thing, especially in the short film medium.
Mm-hmm.
What are your longer term goals for the next few years, let's say?
Well, I've been currently writing a few outlines and trying to get some longer stuff made. I've got a couple of ideas that I could do here in Memphis. I just don't have the crew or the actors capable of pulling it off yet. But if I've had anything to learn from a lot of learn from Craig, is that to construct the story at its basis level.
Mm-hmm.
Don't start typing it out. Put it out on note cards.
Yep.
Get a series of note cards going, because then it's the easiest form of moving your story around. If you feel like you have a scene that's comes near the end and you want to put it in the middle, you can do that. Construct your story at the basis level.
Well, have you, as a junior in the university film, have you not yet connected with too many of the other local filmmakers, or even in your own class, have you not made connections to where maybe you can get out there and make things happen? Because I know our guest last week, Chad Allen Barton,
Yeah. Good guy.
he and Eric Huber
Mhm.
met at the University Film School, and
Mhm.
they found a connection there.
Mhm.
Sam Baer was our guest several weeks ago. He and I want to say his name was Brent or Brett. I'm horrible with names. You'll learn this, and I apologize to the gentleman in question. But they met in classes and saw in each other
Right.
the desire to pull something off. I myself didn't go to film school, but my partner Jamie Hall, who unfortunately could not be here today,
Mhm.
I couldn't do what I do without him. I hate that he's not here now, because I feel that pressure
Yeah.
when it's just me. And with Jamie, I have someone who,
Yeah.
when I feel that moment of weakness, I can turn to him and see that moment of strength,
Right.
and kind of lift each other up and support each other. And he's an invaluable asset to me, to getting things done,
Mhm.
because he won't let me quit,
Right.
and I need that sometimes.
Right.
If you've not made that connection with some students in your class, seek it out.
Well, I have met one person. His name is also Zack. We spent our first 2 semesters working together, and I was actually the star of his short film. The project that I was in his. It was this cute little thing where I'm trying to run around school trying to find my wallet, and it was really cool. I think he was the only He was the only person in that class who had a shot in a car, and I was very happy to help him out with that, setting up lighting and things like that. And it was a really. But the tragedy of that is he moved to Nashville, so now he's we're disconnected.
I know that feeling all
Yeah,
too well.
yeah.
A lot of people that I've made connections with,
Sure.
whether it's been actors or whatever else,
They just move away.
have all moved away somewhere else for one or another reasons.
Yeah.
There is a film community here,
Oh,
and it does, like any small community, it has its good, it has its bad, it has its drama, it has its diamonds, and it has everything else in between. But there are a lot of good people, there are a lot of talented people, and there are a lot of people, actors and actresses especially,
yeah.
who would love the opportunity
Right.
to help a young director step up and do work. Of course, you're always welcome any sets we do. Come on out.
Yeah.
I know there are several filmmakers out there who, if they were here right now, would probably say much the same thing. The opportunity to have auditions from actors for yourself exists. I mentioned in indie acting, out in Bartlett. He has a facility where he often allows young filmmakers to come out and hold their auditions. I don't know what his requirements are. I don't know what his costs are. I don't know what he has to cover. But I know that he provides a lot of young directors, many who have not made a film yet, the opportunity to have a location where people can come to them and actually audition for a role. And he's connected to a lot of the younger actors and independent actors in this city as well. He is someone who might be able to help you. Myself, my partner Jamie, our partner Ken, have all worked with a lot of different people in this city that, you know, who knows, maybe, you know, you're looking for something and we know who can do that for you. So don't be shy. Jump out there, connect to people.
Yeah, that's a huge problem of mine, is that I'm terribly shy. And you know, I remember at the High Tone party on Halloween, Craig had to drag me around, introduce me to folks. I mean, not drag, like not of my own will, but you know,
I remember
he made that, you know,
him introducing us, actually.
Yeah.
That was where we first met. And he made a point to tell me that you were a young filmmaker at the university, and that he wanted us to meet. So, you know, that to me is high praise. I have a lot of respect for Craig. I have a lot of respect for Craig's opinions. I know some people have different issues, other people have different expectations, but I think that most of those people have never really had the chance to meet him and to really get to know him as a person.
I'm constantly having to defend Footloose. You know, I you know, on Facebook groups, you know, people are just like, yeah, I liked, you know, Hustle and Flow of Black Snake Moan, but he totally sold out on Footloose, man. It sucks. It's like, did you see it? No. I'm not gonna pay to see Footloose.
That's a lot of it, and that was why I Kent will even back you up. I read the article that confirmed Craig was going to be, or confirmed for me. There might have been other articles about it, but the one that confirmed it for me, I put the article down, and I think that he might have been in the room with me. I looked him dead in the face and said, damn it, I'm going to have to go see Footloose. And he asked me why, and I was like, well, Craig's doing it. I said, and that's the only reason I would go, is because Craig is doing it. And I started to think about it. I was like, you know, I do know what the story is, and I can see how Craig could write that and make that one of his stories. And yeah, it's about dancing. And it has its certain cliches that are based in the original story. But it still has Craig's voice. And that impressed me, and the story was strong. You know, despite it being about dancing, the story was strong. And I give him a lot of credit for that. Would I have preferred to have seen something completely from him? Yes. But I also know if Craig had his preferences, he would have given us something original of his own. He didn't sell out doing Footloose. He lived up to his end of the bargains that it took to get Footloose, to get Black Snake Moan and Hustle and Flow made. You can't just get out there and be this new filmmaking genius and get what you want. You have to go out there and you have to make deals and you have to make compromises. And, you know, I'm pretty sure Craig's first reaction when asked to do Footloose wasn't yes.
No.
If I remember correctly, he refused it once or twice.
Well, yeah, he told me the whole story.
Over the course of a year or two.
He's talked about it on the podcast. He was saying that he was driving down to this bachelor party in New Orleans, and he was driving along this the longest bridge in America down there, and he got a call from Adam Goodman, the head of Paramount, and he was saying, I just heard that you passed on the Footloose for the third time. I want to know why. And he says, well, you can't really remake Footloose. It's a classic. And he says, I can't. He says, I won't accept that. I won't accept that you will, you know, not do Footloose. And they were arguing back and forth about it. And the bugs from the swamps kept hitting into his windshield, and he couldn't see where he was going. And he said, well, can I do Footloose? And they said, well, we want you to do Footloose. He says, no, but can I do a movie where a girl gets beat up to her mouth bleeds, our hero is offered drugs, and, you know, all this, and there's this ban on dancing. Can I do that movie? It says, was that in Footloose? They just didn't understand that he was just so devoted to this thing.
Right.
And they said, well, go to your party, you know, have fun, but we want you to think about what movie gave you that feeling when you left Footloose. Has there been a movie like that made in the last 10 years? And he thought about it and was like, no, there really hadn't been. And he went home. He went to his hotel room that night, and he started thinking about why did they ban dancing in that movie? It was all because of an accident.
Car accident.
That
Yeah.
car accident. And he thought, if I can start the movie that way, and have it not be about religious,
Mhm.
shackles, it can be a movie about parents overreacting to tragedy,
Right.
in this post 9/11, world that we
Right.
live in. And that's what got him to do it.
Well, I have to say I'm glad he did that one.
Yeah.
Because I know prior to that he had been offered the opportunity to remake another
Oh, really?
classic film, and I'm fairly certain I'm not misspeaking. I don't think this was just a rumor. I think this was
Mhm.
actually at one point on the boards as a
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah.
I had heard that he was offered the opportunity to remake the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, wow. Oh, the MTV. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that he was offered that, but I heard that they were going to do it.
I had heard that they offered him the opportunity to do that, and I don't know that
That would've
that's
been
solidly
interesting.
true.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly certain that,
Mhm.
that Craig's reaction would have been no way.
No.
Because how do you
How
do
could
you
you?
top
Yeah.
Tim Curry and
Yeah.
all of that?
Mm.
So I'm much more pleased that it was Footloose and
Yeah.
not Rocky Horror Picture
Yeah.
Show.
He told me that he was offered the TV pilot for Beverly Hills Cop,
Right.
and he turned it down just because he didn't want to be that guy doing 80s things.
Yeah.
He wanted to do his own thing. And,
Yeah, and that's, I mean, again, that's something as a successful,
Mhm.
quote unquote,
Yeah.
filmmaker, we do have to consider, or,
Mhm.
in Craig's place, he has to consider is,
Mhm.
if he does an 80s property,
yeah.
and then he does another 80s property,
Yeah.
now he's the
That's
guy that
stigma.
does 80s properties.
Yeah.
He's the guy that does, redos. He
Redos.
doesn't have his originals. And
Right.
knowing Craig, I think that would be filmmaker suicide to him because he's full of stories.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I long to see his next project and pray that it will be his.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious about some of the things that he's been writing
Yeah.
that he may, I don't even know if
Yeah.
if he is set to direct or if somebody else is directing Tarzan or not, but
Yeah, David Yates is directing Tarzan,
I
but
know-
they're supposed to be working on his script.
I know that they're working from a script
Right.
he started anyway. So I'm curious to see his take on that kind of material.
Oh, yeah.
But I really, really want Craig Brewer's stories.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to take another cutaway.
Mhm.
We're going to look at the trailer for my partner's film, Jamie Hall, Cold Blooded. We're going to be re-premiering this. This premiere will be in the Tupelo area. It'll be at the Tupelo Malco 10 on Tupelo Commons, April 11th, starting at 7 p.m. We'll be screening The Bag with it, which you just saw a few moments ago, the trailer for that. Again, April 11th, 7 p.m. in Tupelo. It's going to be a huge premiere party. There will be an after party, so if you are one of the cast members, crew members, or any of that, look forward to seeing some interviews. And if you're a film buff and just want to come out and support us, we'll be down there in Tupelo. All of us are going down. Come out, check us out. We're going to be in a large theater, big screen. We'll have a Q&A afterwards, so come join us. Here's a look at the Cold-Blooded trailer.
Rise and shine. You don't want to use your tongue? Let's remove it. That's it! Your tongue's mine! Wakey, wakey, Michelle. That's right, Gary. Your buddy's here with you, too. I get to prove my point to you both. Ever seen someone's eyes when they're wide from fear, from pain? You're evil. What do you know about evil?
All right, that's Jamie Hall's Cold-Blooded, We will be premiering that at the Tupelo Malco 10 on Tupelo Commons, April 11th, 7 p.m. Please come out and support us. And as I said before the break, cast, crew members, all of you should be getting an invitation as soon as we get everything put together and finalized. So look for that in the near future. All right, Zach, going back to what you're doing with Craig.
Yeah.
During the break there, you were telling me you've done some carding work for him, which helps him work out his scenes for his films. We're not going to talk about what that project is, just because we want to respect Craig's privacy and don't want to get sued or beat up.
Which I'm in deathly fear of every time
I
think
also
of it.
don't want to get you fired.
Yeah, no.
You have a good thing going with Craig. I think that's a very, very strong learning environment for you.
Absolutely.
And in truth, I'm actually kind of jealous because I have purposely kept my distance from Craig. Mostly just, he doesn't have time.
No.
He is so busy. And I want him to succeed more than I want him to help me succeed.
Yeah.
If in the future he turns around and sees me and, like he did in the past when he helped me do Morning Ritual, if he sees that moment or that opportunity where he wants to reach out and bring me in on something, I'll jump. I long for the day that he'd give me any opportunity. But I don't want to be the guy that's constantly knocking on his door.
Yeah.
I do hope in the near future that I'll have something that I feel is worth his time.
Right.
I do want to invite him onto this show. So if you get the opportunity to
I'll definitely put
pass
in
that
word.
along,
Absolutely.
I've tried to comment. The thing is, with Craig being as busy as he is,
Yeah.
the only time I ever see him is things like the
During
other
the
night,
parties, yeah.
where you can't hear each other.
Yeah.
There's 15 other people also saying hello.
Yeah.
So you really can't exchange real information.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, that's the only time I get to see Craig.
Mhm.
It would be a kind of a little dream come true to be able to just go out to lunch with him and
Yeah.
sit down and talk and not have all of that, because I'd just like, a one-on-one talk.
Yeah.
He's somebody I considered friend for many years.
Mhm.
But to work in the office with him, to see what he goes through,
Yeah.
to see his schedule, to see how much running he has to do,
Oh, yeah.
does it intimidate you as you strive to become that type of filmmaker?
I'm sure it was to him at first. I mean, I'm sure it was to him as it is to me. But, I know enough, well, I don't know much, but I would like to think I know enough about the Hollywood system and that I know all the tricks and ins and outs, and that perhaps someday I could step up and be that. But seeing he just is like so calm and navigating those waters,
He does have a zen.
Yeah. But just being there in that office with him is just, he teaches me so much. It's for instance, he was talking to me about First Blood, and I hadn't seen it at the time, and the inevitable question came up: have you seen First Blood? And he kind of leans in with like this, this great brow he has, like, and I said, no, I haven't. It's like, okay, stop what you're doing. We're watching First Blood, and he puts it on. And it was good. We're talking through it, and it was just such a great time.
He's very being around him is very nurturing.
Yeah.
As a filmmaker, I think, because he is so aware of film history. Kind of like being in this environment right here, Black Lodge.
Yeah.
Have you been here much?
Not much, but I've Mike McCarthy has shown me around.
Okay. Do you know Matt?
Yes, I have.
I don't
He's
know.
not back
He's
there.
not back there at the moment, but
Yeah.
Matt is also like that. If you have any question regarding film history, character study, Matt has a vast amount of knowledge.
Oh yeah.
And it's reflected in the environment he creates. You're not just in a video store
You're in a library.
where you have comedy and drama
Yeah.
and whatever else. You're in a video store where you look over here and you have the films of Ken Russell, the films of Andy Warhol, who else you got
David
over there?
Lynch.
Alex Cox, David Lynch,
Terry Gilliam.
John Waters, Ed. He's
Yeah.
got them broken out
Into director.
to where you can
Yeah.
truly understand a director's work.
Mm-hmm.
You can find, and he has it again in order that they worked.
Yeah.
So you can see how over the changing times, the changing social climates, what was and was not acceptable in film and how that has changed, and see how the different directors have changed over those years.
Mm-hmm.
And then any further questions you have, you can, pose to Matt, and you almost always get a encyclopedic response of knowledge that can help you learn as a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
So as you move forward, and being a Memphis filmmaker right now, we hope that you will stay in Memphis and make films, and always come back home, as it were. But as you make your projects, please bring them in here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a shelf in there which has not grown very much at all in 13 plus years, and that is the local section.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at it from here, mostly what I see are Mike McCarthy projects.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 of those, and I can see 1 or 2 of Craig Brewer's projects sticking out. But there's not a lot there compared to the amount of filmmakers in this city and the amount of films the filmmakers in this city are making.
Mm-hmm.
So please, as you finish a project, bring it in here for posterity.
Mm-hmm.
People can rent it, other filmmakers can watch it, people can laugh at it, learn from it, joke with it, whatever it might be. But this is a place where you can bring your work to a potential audience.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you'll get those responses and make those connections, because you never know who's going to walk in here. The tail end of the show last week, just as we killed camera, Mike McCarthy walked in. I've been standing in this room when Craig Brewer has just walked in. I've been standing in this room when Eric Tate has walked in. It's just last week during the show, Sam Baer walked in, and he'd been a guest a week or 2 previous. So you never know who will walk into this building. You can meet musicians, you can meet filmmakers, you can meet actors and actresses, models, I mean, just about anything. And it's great to know these people, to build these connections, because that might be how you make your next film. And shy, I understand, but the people in this community, in this town, we all want films being made. We want people out there making projects. And, speaking for myself and my team, we want each and every filmmaker out there to have the opportunity to make a better film next time. No matter how good or bad the first one was, the second one can be better. The third one can be better than that. And, what we do on our sets is we try to bring people out and let them learn what we do, because we have learned to cut a lot of corners, especially in cost. Craig taught me a lot of valuable lessons when I was starting out with him. We have no money. Why write a scene where you're going to have 15 police cars and gunshots in the street? You can't afford that. Write what you can afford. Write what you can film as a filmmaker who has no money. And this will force you to tell stronger stories with stronger characters. And you will make mistakes, and you will have funny moments, and you will have bad moments, and good moments, and things like that. But it's important that we stay active, even outside of school. Now, I know school itself can be consuming, but during your summer break, plan a project, make something, connect with some of the people in this city. You know where I live. You delivered the Indie Origins to me, which I guess we should plug that too.
Sure.
Craig Brewer's Indie Origins, which is a very quickly put together but very professional looking project, which collects a group of filmmakers, myself included, from, I believe it's 98, 99, and 2000 and 2001, like a 3 or 4 year window right there, of local filmmakers who, for whatever reason, Craig Brewer felt kinship to, inspiration from, or respect toward. And he collected these and he put together this project, which is a retrospective of some of Memphis's more important, and it's hard for me to say that because I'm in there and I don't see myself like that, but
Right.
some of the more important works, which I do recognize that Morning Ritual did make an impact.
Yeah.
And, you know, he acknowledges this place and the importance of such a place. You know, there's no place like this anywhere else I've ever been. I've lived in Pennsylvania, I've lived in Maine, I've lived in Connecticut, I've been to a lot of other cities and towns, and I've seen a lot of independent
Videos.
video stores and game stores and whatever else there might be out there, but never have I seen anyone who has compiled a film library and had a person manning it like Matt Martin with his vast encyclopedic knowledge of film. The closest I've ever experienced was in Connecticut when I was living there. There used to be a store in Waterbury called Phoenix Records. And it was vinyl and CD and cassette, and it was live recordings, official releases, bootleg this, solo album that. And the gentleman who owned the store was known as the Professor. And it was aptly titled because it didn't matter what you were asking him. You could be asking him about Ella Fitzgerald and that era of music, or you could be asking him about the next wave of techno. And he would know all kinds of information, just vast volumes of information about everything you could possibly throw at him. He was a living, breathing encyclopedia of musical knowledge. And, you know, we're fortunate that here in Memphis we have that for movies in Matt Martin, and we have that in Black Lodge. I've gotten way off topic here, but
Indie Origins.
Indie Origins, it's a feature-length production. It has not yet been delivered here to Lodge, but is soon to be delivered here at Lodge. And my understanding is that they're basically going to offer it as a free rental,
I think so.
along with other things.
Right.
Like if you come in and rent a movie, you have the option of taking this home for free,
Yeah.
which is just another way that Craig is trying to help.
Introduce and graduate more filmmakers.
Exactly. Try to show the Memphis community at large that they have a film history here.
Yes.
That there are filmmakers here. You know, Morning Ritual is 12 years old. We just recently passed the anniversary of the date of filming. I had actually planned on doing a big event, but job
Just
requirements
time,
being
yeah.
job requirements, we were unable to do so.
Yeah.
And we may still do so at a later date. It just won't be on the anniversary
Right.
officially.
Right.
But, you know, over those 12 years, I've seen Morgan John Fox rise and become,
Yeah.
you know, the filmmaker he is.
Yeah. He
I've
directed,
seen-
you know, he had the first directing. He first directed Claire Grant and Jennifer Goodwin, who both
Both have
major
become
stars.
major stars now.
Yeah.
Jennifer Goodwin, I believe, is the girl that's
On
now
ABC's
Once Upon a Time
Mhm.
as the Snow White
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
But I've seen, you know, Craig get his career. I've seen Morgan John Fox rise into what he's become. I watched Mike McCarthy, you know, go from a Memphis auteur of the underground to
Yeah.
having a film released on Troma Films, which is still very much
cool.
the underground,
Yeah.
but it's a label.
Yeah.
And I've seen him, you know, go on and produce, which I think is his finest work, Cigarette Girl. I've not yet seen Goddamn Godard, but
Yeah.
Cigarette Girl,
Yeah.
which rumor is possibly we'll be seeing that on DVD this
Yeah.
summer. So hopefully we'll get a chance to see that again, because that was a fantastic experience. I got to play one of the lead characters in that movie, so I got to watch firsthand.
Yeah.
Got to watch Mike McCarthy direct and go manic and crazy to create art as only he can create. Let's see, I guess we'll take another cutaway. We're going to look at The Hall. This is a small project. An independent author put it together. She wrote a large 300-plus page horror novel, and it is based on Ashlar Hall, which is a building over on Central Avenue.
Okay.
It used to be a club called The Castle.
Huh.
A lot of people still call it The Castle if you've ever heard anybody refer to it. It's a piece of property owned by Prince Mongo, another Memphis original that you may have heard of.
Yeah.
But she wrote this novel, horror genre,
Oh.
and she has contacted my partner Jamie Hall and us at Rising Fire about the possibility of helping her turn her novel into an actual feature film that would then be entirely produced and crewed and all that from a Memphis-based crew and cast, although we might pull in one or two out of town for the cast members. Because she wants to augment the cast with some names if possible. But this is an ambitious project on her part.
Yeah.
It's a 384-page novel that she
wow.
she herself has adapted into a script.
Oh.
I haven't had the chance to look at it myself yet, just because of our schedule. But she's already been talking to financiers and investors in Denmark and other locations about possibly being interested in producing this, and they're very interested. The name Memphis creates a lot of connotations for people in other places of the world.
Yeah.
Elvis and all, for us who live here, it's just the city we live in.
Yeah.
But we love it, we hate it, but we get through it. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at her quickly thrown together trailer to promote The Hall, the novel.
First time I saw your face, crystallized without a trace of red. Broke into my heart, corrupting my senses for a start. Could it be that you're the one born of the evil sun? Are you just a devil in disguise? Your silken gown betrays the night. Your sultry lips reveal desire in the light. Put my hand to your heart to expose my love for you. It's just a start. I'm led into a twisted maze. You fill my head with a sensual craze. I see it clear, you're just a devil in disguise. Where you work your spell, the way your magic holds me, it's like a nightmare out of hell. It seems clear as a bell. The way you're controlling me, I fall deeper in the well. Want you holding me. I now know the way things seem. My emotions clash without a thought to what they mean. Rob me of my very soul. My conscious thoughts are beginning to explode. A light shines through a clouded haze. You beckon me to come your way. Do I follow this woman in disguise? Where you work yourself, way your magic hold me, it's like a nightmare out of hell. It seems clear and fair. Way you're controlling me, I fall deeper in the well. The one you holding me.
All right, welcome back. That was Kathy Rose, The Hall. That's her novel based on Ashlar Hall, the property owned by Prince Mongo. Many of us know it as The Castle, down on the end of Central near Lamar. It's a horror novel, available on Amazon. Check it out. It's a good read. During the break, we kind of had an impromptu guest join us. Ladies and gentlemen, Markus Seaberry. I'm sure most of the people out there already know Markus. He's at one time King of Indie here. was in just about every film being made for a little while. For many years, I wanted the opportunity to work with him because I personally felt that there was something inside of him that I hadn't seen yet come out on film. We worked together. I think the first thing we did was Glowing,
Yeah.
which was a project of Forrest Pruitt's for his Dark Corners series. Unfortunately, we had some painfully horrible sound issues that just shatter my heart because the footage looks fantastic and the performances I got out of people were amazing. And I believe I gave you possibly the biggest challenge you'd faced as an actor at that point during that shoot.
Man, that was in so many challenges because first, I played an unrepentant gang leader. And I do mean this character was an unrepentant bastard. Like, I'm killing small children. You know? So I had to dig deep and find all the anger that I normally repress so I don't get arrested. You know? And then I wound up being in a 5-point harness, suspended in the air. And I am not a fan of height.
I believe that we calculated roughly 70 feet in the air, and it was my genius idea to have you splayed crucifixion pose out over the edge of a banister at the Tennessee Brewery building, only to discover on set that the fear of heights was pretty much one of your greatest.
Yeah, that was about an hour and a half of come to Jesus moments. Getting my ass on that banister.
And in the long run, I'm not sure which one of us was having a harder time, because by the time you finally did it, I think my heart was ready to stop. I felt so bad for you. I was so worried for you.
But
it was a testament to you. And I thank you that you showed the trust in me and the faith in me and the vision we had at that time to face that kind of a fear. It's rare in an actor, especially on the independent level when there is no money involved. It is rare for an actor to take that kind of a challenge so serious.
Man, being an actor, it's something about the phrase, we need the shot. We need this shot, or other permutations of this phrase. Like, it would be really good if we had this shot. Then it becomes a personal challenge. Like, okay, well, I'm holding up the film, and I have this paranoia about not wanting to be that guy who messes up productions, because even though I'm confident in my acting ability, I'm always fearful that this could be the last job, or there'll be some other young buck on the horizon to replace me.
To some degree, you need that, because it is what keeps you fresh. It is what keeps you working. It gives you that drive.
Yeah, so I was like, it's time to conquer this, man. It took me a while. I want to thank you and Forrest and DeMarco and Travis Stone and Forrest's boss at the time. It was a big group therapy moment, but everybody got me out on the banister.
I have to say, though, in watching you do that, the level of respect that I had for you shot up so far.
Wow.
As a person, as a man, and as an actor, because you did it. And that is, as I said to you then, good, bad, or otherwise now, even though that film won't see the light of day because of the issues, which is horrible. Yeah. Horrible that a moment like that for you can't be seen. But it can never be taken from you.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me that it changed something in you, and that you thanked me for it, and that to me was one of the highest compliments I think an actor's ever paid to me. Yeah. And based on that experience, in a conversation I had not long after that, I was asked about a specific type of actor for a specific type of role. And I believe it was Eric Tate, not Chad Allen Barton, but I think it was Eric that asked me. And I immediately gave them your name. And my understanding is that has worked out very well.
Oh, yes.
You were one of the characters in Chad Allen Barton's recently wrapped Lights, Camera, Bullshit. Mm-hmm. I have been informed that your scenes are fantastic. I was told by Eric Tate that almost every scene he did, he had no problem remembering his lines and getting through his scene. Until he had to do that one scene with you where he just couldn't stop laughing about something.
Yeah, it was actually a reshoot that we shot
I think it was one of the reshoots.
this year, and my character is in disguise.
That was the one.
So I have a mustache, like a fake mustache that they kind of, it like came apart and kind of fit up in my septum. And I'm wearing, I think, a straw hat, a loud yellow Hawaiian shirt. It's like a real garish get up. And I mean, I was still in character because, you know, me, I come on set. I'm
But
like, you know,
yeah.
it's go time. You know, I'm like a robot a little bit. Not robotic in my delivery, but robotic in my focus. I'm like, all right, you know, we finna do this scene. But I looked pretty freaking ridiculous. So, yeah, I understood how Eric was having trouble that day. But
He just said it was so funny. Just every time he had to deliver his lines, I guess you had a newspaper or a magazine, and he said every time you'd look up over it, he just could not.
Yeah. We were reading comics, and it was funny because, like, first we had, like, Marvel and DC, and we were like, well, we don't want to get in copyright trouble. So then we wound up using this Hex and Hell comic that I think Mike McCarthy drew for
Jason Freeman.
for Jason Freeman's project. So I'm like reading it and I'm looking up because, you know, my character's trying to hide. Okay, I feel like I'm spoiling the movie, but that's just one of many great scenes in lights, camera, bullshit.
Well, we don't want to discuss the story content at all.
Yeah,
As you
yeah.
say, I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
I remembered that conversation with Eric because I was down on one of their reshoot days recently, and I asked him how it worked out because I had sent them, sent you their way. But you know, when I believe in an actor and when I do something like that, I like to know that it worked out or how well it did or did not work out. And you know, there's not a lot of actors I try to get other people to work with, but you know, we've had numerous conversations where I've told you what I felt from you. You know, I saw years ago something more than I felt you were getting the chance to give. So, you know, working with you on Glowing was really the opportunity to give you something vastly different than what I had seen you do. To prove to yourself, which I don't think was necessary, and to others, which I think might be necessary now and again.
It was a little bit
to prove
myself.
that you were capable of something other than the roles you'd been given.
I needed to prove it to myself because what tends to happen is, you know, I'm an honest person, sometimes brutally honest to a fault. Now I tell people like, look, man, yeah, I played a funny fat dude, but I'm better than that. And I find myself saying and trying to fight for myself. And then it gets a little scary when I actually get there, because it's like, oh, wow. So I finally convinced someone that I can do more than the fat guy, random thug, funny fat guy, random thug, clerk, or black guy who dies in horror movies. And it's like, okay, well, now you got to show and prove. Now you got to come with it.
I found working with you personally, just being on set with you and working with you in that capacity, to be an absolute pleasure. I thought you were focused. Your every thought was towards what scene you were shooting. You wanted to make sure you were giving what you were asked to give. You had no concerns about time. I don't even think I ever heard you ask, is there something to drink? It was just, we ran a good enough set to where you were offered things.
Yeah.
But you were focused and you were determined to bring your character to life.
Yeah.
And that's, as a director, that's the kind of actor we want. We don't want to have to double time our efforts to get you where you are.
Yeah.
You are an actor. You should be able to come out and act. And then we'll guide that and we'll bend that. So for me, it was a real pleasure to work with you.
Well, again, that's another one of my, I guess, quirks about not asking for food and water. I always tend to wait for after I do the scenes or like a break period because, I don't want to be the guy belching all in the middle of, trying to do scenes. That's not cool. And also, I try to bring a professional aesthetic to my roles, even though I am technically an amateur because I'm not SAG. So technically I'm an amateur, but I'm a seasoned amateur, if that makes sense. And I feel like that is my job. And my job as an actor...
I think it's unfair to call yourself an amateur because you've been doing this for
like 9 years.
Minimum of 9 years.
Yeah.
You are focused when you have a role. you are dedicated when you have a role. That's what being professional is.
Okay.
You may not get paid.
Well, yeah.
You're a poor actor. But you're a professional poor actor.
I can live with that. But yeah, you know, I just had that aesthetic, and I feel like that's the job. And if I may quote Jason Statham in the first Transporter, the job is the job. So it's like, my job is to give the director what he wants. The director has a vision. I am a cog in the machine, or, you know, of that produces that vision. So it's like, I must do this role to the director's satisfaction.
Well, as
If
I
they're
said,
satisfied, mission accomplished.
I found you to be a pleasure to work with, easy to direct. You take direction. So, any filmmakers out there, Zack, this is a gentleman that will be there with you. If you put Markus on your set, Markus will give you everything Markus is capable of. He will not look at the project and say, this is too big.
Yeah.
He will not look at the project and say, this is too small. He will not look at a role and say it is too small. He will look at the role that you give him, and he will take it seriously, and he will give dedication, and he will put it out there. I have used him other than on Glowing. The Bag. We had you come in and play the coach,
Yeah.
which, again, was a bit of a different scene for you.
That tends to be one of my specialties. I used to, back when people would call me King Indy, I guess my subtitle moniker was King of the One-Day Shoots.
Oh.
I tend to, I mean, because, you know, people don't always, I guess, know where to put me.
Right.
And so, you know, they give me them one-day shoots. But hey, you know what? I have gotten to the point where,
All right, we apologize. We had some sort of technical glitch there. I don't know exactly where we cut out, but the most important thing that I would reiterate for anything that was missed is that this is a man you want on your set. If you give him the time, he will give you his time. He is dedicated, and he's a hard-working actor, and never ever judge a book by its cover. You can do a lot more with a man like this than you would think to look at him. He's been judged by his appearance and given roles like the thug, the first guy to die, the clerk, and all that. But I'll tell you, I wish Glowing could be out there, because if people could see the performance he gave us on Glowing, I think people would take it different. And, you know, and that Marcus Kent Hampson just made a comment off camera that might be a valid point, and I would need your permission to show it. But
feel free. I'm trying to get work. Yeah.
When you came in and auditioned for Happy Hour, you did one of the ballsiest things any actor had done. You came in knowing full well you could not have the role you were auditioning for. You auditioned for a 40-plus-year-old meek white man. And you were one of the best top 2, top 3 auditions we had for that character.
And you know, the funny thing is, there was like, not even a whole day. There was like maybe an hour out of one day leading up to that where I was like, well, dang, I know I can't get this role. So do I phone it in? But then the competitive side of me, which only comes out in movies because I'm not that athletic. You know what I'm saying? I was like, no.
But you did
I'm
that
gonna do
one
this.
thing I tell people. If I give you a list, 4, 6, 20, it doesn't matter. If I give you a list of characters that I'm auditioning for, and you know there are other, no matter how many characters you see on an audition form, you know there's more people in the movie than that. And you want to be a part of a film, whether it's because you want to work with that director or you want to work with another actor that's attached. You know there are more characters than what you see on that audition form. Pick one. It doesn't matter if it's the right one for you. It doesn't matter if you, as a mid-30s black man, wants to go in and audition for a mid-40s white man. So what? What matters is that you come in and you put a performance on that floor. And you did. And like I said, you know, I actually said something to Kent at one point after you left, something to the effect of, it's almost too bad that there's no way to make sense of turning Adam into a black man, because at that time,
Yeah.
that was absolutely the finest audition we'd had for the character.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend about that too, because she was running lines with me.
Smart man.
Maybe like I love you, Odell, baby, I love you. She was helping me run lines, and she was giving me tips, and man, I gotta be honest. I try to keep my arrogance, only like when I'm just playing around. When it's film time, all that fades away and I get into my character. But I was kind of hyped that day. Like I said, I'm not an athlete, so this is like my sport. So this is when I get competitive. I was like I was talking to, I think, whoever you had kind of wrangling us, audition people, Bambi. And I was like, side to side, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm getting ready to play a sport or something. I was just like, yeah, I'm ready for this one, man. I was in my zone that day because I had practiced, and I guess I had this same mentality. I was like, I know I can't get this character.
You definitely nailed the point, and
I was like, but by God, I'll get some character.
It was a very reaffirming moment for me, because, as you know,
Man, you've been one of my biggest cheerleaders, and I thank you.
It's not a problem, man. I see something in there, and I believe in dedication. I believe in a person's belief in themselves. I believe, if somebody has a dream, that they can achieve it. We were talking about Craig Brewer's movies a few moments ago, and how the themes of his movies are having a dream and working to achieve it. And, every one of us in this city, that's what we're doing. We're working to try to achieve something. And I saw all these little bit roles you had, and there was never much to him. I couldn't tell. Is he a good actor? Is he not a good actor? There's not enough time. He's just there. No, now he's dead. Or, oh, that scene ended quick. But I would talk to you in person, and I'd feel that fire inside of you, that desire to do this. And I knew you had not yet had a role that you really had the chance to embrace something. Because
honestly, before Glowing, the last time I felt truly challenged was in 2006 on it was a film directed by Arnold Edwards II. Back then, his production company was called Cowboy Up, but now it's called Hero Shot. We did a film called Curbside Confessions, and I played this character. He's drug addicted, and he's kind of a screw up, and that was another one of those times where, like, okay, I had to dig deep.
Well, one of the things that came to mind for me with you was when we were at Forrest's class one day, and we're running a scene together. And someone, I can't remember if it was Forrest or Tim or someone in the class, suggested running the scene like two gay men.
Yeah.
And, you were very uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't want to do that. That's not really how I see this character. It's not. But then Forrest said, just do it. Go. And immediately, you were there. You were in that character.
Yeah.
And you had no visible sign that you were uncomfortable. When he called cut, you went back to being a little uncomfortable. But when you hit that character, you hit the character. You stayed there.
Yeah.
We didn't see Markus anymore.
Yeah.
So the ability to just do that is in itself is something to recognize and make a statement about.
Yeah, but it's crazy because you're right. As soon as cut comes, Markus comes back, and I start thinking, like, for example, on Glowing and Probably on Happy Hour, I was like, can't invite any of my family to this film. Seriously, if there is anybody out there making a sappy film with kids and a dog, I just need one. I just need one to show all my family, like, hey, here's a film I did. Because, I can't show, like, my uncle, the Church of God in Christ elder, like, probably what Happy Hour, the finished product of Happy Hour. Well, although I'll love it.
Considering you'd be a porn mogul in that one, probably not.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, like, seriously, I'm just throwing her out there. If anybody's doing a happy, sappy film with kids and a dog, I will play like a principal or postman or something.
There's your challenge, Zach.
I just need.
There's a challenge.
I just need one happy Sappy joint that I can show all
Get
my
yourself a
friends
kid,
and
a
family.
dog, and something sappy and funny.
Because
You
my
got
friends
it.
and family are very church going and very, spiritual and serious about this. So am I. I just happen to be in a business that
Well-
requires me to use questionable language. But for real, I just need one film with kids and a dog that I can show my uncle the pastor, my mama the coaching missionary, and not be ashamed. Because 70% of what I do on this indie circuit, I can't show anybody in my family.
It's interesting that you bring that up because we are in Memphis. You know, I often make a joke that this is the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. But as an actor, you do have to be able to separate that. And there are a lot of people, a lot of local actors that I've heard won't take certain roles, won't deliver certain dialogue for one reason or another. They don't want to offend God, being a very common thread to the thinking, which I respect and I do understand. But as an actor, you aren't going out there as you. You're taking on a role. You're making art, and art it's the process of creativity. It is, in my opinion, it is the closest we can be to God because God is the great creator. And he gave us this ability to have imagination and the ability and the gifts that it takes to build these characters and make these films. So the ability to step outside of yourself is paramount to the job itself. And, Todd Underwood, Todd.
Yeah.
When we did Cold-Blooded, there are a number of moments in Cold-Blooded where he was very uncomfortable. There's a scene where he sits down on Glenn Payne, and there's a implied homosexuality moment. There's the scene with C.J. Parker, the 8-year-old girl, where there's this implied inappropriateness to the characters, and Todd was excessively, understandably, uncomfortable with these scenes. And, Jamie spent a lot of time with him telling him what he wanted from this character, what kind of character he wanted. And then I'd spend time with him in one-on-one acting classes explaining to him that it is a character and that he isn't presenting Todd to an audience. He's presenting David Wales to an audience, and this is what David Wales does and how he is. So those things that you are uncomfortable with, understand the reasons they're there. Now, if we can't find a reason for the scene, then it's gratuitous and it doesn't belong there anyway. And Jamie and I are very much not above removing something because it does not need to be there.
Well,
But we're not going to compromise something that does.
I will be honest.
And we had to talk Todd into that.
I'll be honest. Profanities not a deal breaker for me because I see a struggle with that in real life. Sorry, Mom.
Well, it's not just language.
I know, but I mean, there are things that I don't feel comfortable doing, and I do have a limit. But in terms of profanity, and I guess on the surface evil, because like I said, in glowing, I like kill a small child.
In
kill somebody else.
glowing, you are violent, vile. You murder a child. You are a complete ass to the women.
In particular, the woman I love.
And I was going to say, in particular, the woman that you're supposedly, in love with, who you treat like garbage. She's nothing but the woman who's going to go get your chicken.
And that was my first love scene. Man, that messed me up. Because I had imagined my first love scene to be way more smoother than that.
Admittedly, Sharina didn't make it easy on you.
Wow, dude, man. Yo, piece of her husband, but Sharina's hot.
Well,
I was like...
she's a very attractive woman. She's a very talented actress. Her husband was a very tolerant man. I believe he was on set for some of it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And he must have immense understanding of her craft, and I hope it stays that way because I know they've just had a child, and I would love to see her working again because she truly is gifted.
Yeah.
She's really, really good.
Yeah. Well, actually, she helped me because, like I said, that was my first.
Well, she's fun.
Yeah.
And she was very light.
Yeah, and that was my first love scene ever. And you know, as an actor in your mind, you know, when I had envisioned my first love scene, I thought it'd be something smooth with some candles and like some Barry White in the background. No, I'm in the brewery on Tennessee Street and I'm throwing her off me, telling her to go get me a 2-piece chicken. Like, hurry up, I'm hungry.
Yeah. But, know.
But you know the crazy part? When I would say those lines to my girlfriend, she was like loving it, like, oh, you get a love scene, and you like curse folks out. Oh, you sound so tough. I was like,
Well, it's got to be exciting for her to see you. I know it made you happy to have that role.
oh yeah,
And I know you put yourself in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she has to feel that energy from you. I mean, the woman loves you. I know she does. I've seen you two together.
I just didn't expect her to be that happy to see, you know, while I'm reciting all these profane words and calling a woman a bee and telling her, give me a 2-piece, I'm hungry. She's like, ooh, I liked it. I'm like,
Women
okay.
like the bad boys, Marcus. Always remember.
I know. I was like, mental note.
So, what have you got coming up? Are you working on anything now? Are you looking at anything?
The last thing I did, I did something for Mason Studios. It's Josh Mason. He's based out of Covington, Tennessee. He did this one short film where he reimagined the Super Mario Brothers as a gritty action film. Like, he did part 1 and I wasn't in that.
He's going to actually have casting at Forest Studio
Indie Actor
next
Studio.
Sunday night, I think.
Yeah,
next
yeah.
Sunday or next Monday? Next Sunday, I think.
Next Sunday. Yeah.
For a Zelda project as well as a Star Wars project.
Yeah. Well, I did Super Mario Brothers 2, and I played Donkey Kong as DK, who was a mobster / drug kingpin. And again, it's so fun to be badass. Because, you know, I play so many nice little characters.
Oh, man, I got to play Ace and Cigarette Girl, tell me.
Yeah, man, it's so fun to be bad. It's like, man, like,
I got to carry a shotgun.
I got to carry a machine gun, and I push people around. It was so great. And, I don't really know if I can be in Zelda because technically Zelda is still in the same universe as Super Mario Brothers, the Super Smash Brothers universe. But I am definitely going out for this Star Wars film. I'm hoping to be a Jedi or like a bounty hunter or something.
I don't know Josh that I'm aware of. I may have met him, and if he's out there and I have met him face to face and I'm just being an ass, I apologize, but I'm horrible with names, so I don't know if I've actually met the man or seen his work. But I'm highly intrigued by a Star Wars project, and I don't know that I have anything to offer the filmmaker in question, but just to be part of something Star Wars would be fantastic. I'd almost love to do that myself.
Man, I could see you as like some kind of zenned out Jedi master. Man, oh my God, that would be so awesome. I'd love to see you audition, man. Because I know you and me being, you know, we talked about our comic book love and our sci-fi love and geeking out. And, like, the cool thing about Mason Studios is that he's doing a lot of the pop culture, geeky, nerdy stuff. And, you know,
well, it's a great way to get attention.
I still want to do, you know, critically acclaimed stuff, you know, I still want an Oscar someday. But, hey, you know, I'm a nerd. I like comics. I like Star Wars.
I have debated for years with the idea of doing, and this might be something that has crossed your mind as well, doing fan film work. And I often think, okay, if I'm going to do a fan film, what am I going to do a fan film of? You know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, I'm a Batman fan, I'm an X-Men fan, I'm a fan of all these things, so what do I want to do? And I'll end up narrowing it down, and 1 week it's, I want to do a Star Wars film, or 1 week it's, I'd love to do a Batman film, the next week it's, I'd love to do a Twin Peaks thing. Then I'd realize if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to put that much work into something, I kind of want it to be my own original project. However, this year, if I can get the writing done in time, Kent is friends with a gentleman who has the Superman film celebration. Superman Celebration Film Festival.
Wow.
Which is designed to basically have fan films. Specifically. All original story. They don't want you adapting something. They don't want you taking artwork from comics and moving it. They want original story content. And this year, mostly because I've partnered up with Jamie Hall, and he knows how to light a fire under me as much as anything else as well, and he's really kind of created a lot of inspiration for me. I've thought this year maybe I'll do the fan film thing, because I've seen how many different directors have done fan film work and actually gotten a lot of attention based on
Dan
those.
Trachtenberg, he did that Portal fan film, and now he's doing Why the Last Man.
Yeah. The gentleman that did, I can't think of his name now, but he did Batman Dead End, which is a short film involving some of the best live-action footage of Batman ever filmed. It includes the Alien, and it includes Predator, and it has Walter Koenig's son before the death as the Joker.
Yeah.
He's gone on, he was working at Sam Winston Studios,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
and he did that project, and that got him work. So now he's making films instead of just being a special effects guy.
One of my favorite fan films, it's by the writer of kind of a contemporary superhero film called Chronicle.
Yeah. Max.
Yes.
Yeah.
Max Landis.
Oh, I think I know the one you're gonna bring.
He
up.
did this fan film about the death and return of Superman, but he's also giving commentary while he's talking about it, talking about the crazy way that they decided to kill Superman and how Superman's death kind of broke death in comics. But he has all these celebrities in this super low budget film. Like Elijah Wood is like, I think, is he Superboy?
No, he's a cyborg.
Yeah. He's like Cyborg Superman, and like Mandy Moore is Lois Lane.
Yeah.
It's super low budget, but it's super awesome, man. So go out there and YouTube that.
As we said, the fan film, you take a fan film and you put it out there, and you have a very specific type of audience. But that type of audience, we're in that audience. They're rabid.
Yeah.
If they see something they like, boy,
the
world's going to know it, because they're going to put it out there.
Well, I'd also put it out there that, in terms of Star Wars, you could also, if you're not satisfied with what you're getting from those movies, go out and do your own.
Exactly.
Don't settle for that.
There are so many Star Wars fan films. You can't begin to watch them.
No.
And I just want to throw
Most
this
of
out
them are
there.
pretty great, too.
Many of them are fun.
Good sir.
Troopers is fantastic.
Oh, I love it.
But good sir, if you do a Superman fan film, sir, I want in.
Well, mine wouldn't be
John Henry.
Superman. I personally have never really been a Superman fan. I'm older than you guys. I grew up when Superman was basically invincible.
Yeah. Oh.
And I felt that just lacked a lot of story potential, and they never, because it was comic books written for kids for the most part, they really couldn't do the kind of stories to create the type of drama that they would have to. You'd have to be beating on Lois Lane on a regular basis to really get at Superman, because he was invincible. So I never really bit onto it. Now, over the years, they've added he's limited in his power because of the sun.
Yeah.
He's susceptible to magic. And, he's been altered and changed throughout the years.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm far more interested in what he's become now, and I'm very much looking forward to the
Man of
Zack
Steel.
Zack Snyder film.
Man of Steel.
But we're doing an underground comic called Grimjack.
I've heard of it.
It's one of my favorite. I always refer to him as my number one fashion consultant, which explains why I dress as oddly as I do. But that was pretty much one of my favorite comics from the mid-'80s on until it got
Is
canceled.
that set in the future?
Yes and no.
Oh, okay.
It's set in the city he lives in is called Sinosure, and it is a pan-dimensional city, which means every other time, every other dimension, at some point or another, can and will intersect with this city. It also means the laws of physics are completely screwy. You can be running down the road, shooting people, turn the corner, and now your gun doesn't work anymore, because the laws of physics have just changed. What I liked about it was that it was from First Comics. It was not comic code, so the stories were grittier. But you could tell any kind of tale you wanted. It can be a revenge thing. It could be a western. It could be futuristic. It could have robots. It could have clones. It could have aliens. It could be anything you could conceive of. You can make work in his environment or within his world and story arc. So I really. Are we back? All right.
So we're back.
We apologize. We are back. We had some technical difficulties in there with doing a live show over the internet. Of course, that's always something we're subject to. We're going to shift gears and gave a rundown on some Grimjack. We can fanboy out a little bit later on.
Okay, sorry.
Not everybody out there is going to need to know all that right now. Hopefully that script will get written, the film will get made, and they'll all come out and learn when I show the movie. Going back here, Zach.
Uh-huh.
You've not had the chance to work with a lot of local actors yet.
No.
Here's a gentleman that you should connect with. He knows a lot of other actors as well.
Uh-huh.
This is kind of how everybody in our community does it. You just kind of find a person, get to know them. They bring more people in, you get to know them. Just get out there and work with people. Find out who's doing what. I just found out about Josh Mason today, coincidentally, and now he's bringing him up. So now there's a new name and somebody else maybe I need to reach out to and possibly bring on this show. I don't know how many of the groups you might be on Facebook. The Actors in Memphis, Arts in Memphis, things like that. There's often a lot of different filmmakers that post in there, and that would be a great way to connect. I want to give you an opportunity to tell everybody out there any information you want them to know. As far as, obviously, Zack Parks, ZACK, on Facebook. But if you have an email, if you have anything like that you want them to know, or if you have skills that are available that you would offer out to someone, like you said you edit, go ahead and give us a little bit of
I'm
rundown.
also on Twitter at Zack_Parks. My email is artman1991@hotmail.com. I'm available to do acting. I don't do a whole lot of it, but if they need me, I'm absolutely game for it. And I also can help write. I'm a very fast typist. I've done carding work, of course, for Craig Brewer, as previously mentioned, and so yeah.
Okay, so now, in doing the carding work, are you also learning other aspects of pre-production and things like that?
Well, he just brought me in for the carding work, and then he went to LA.
Okay.
So.
I ask because a lot of filmmakers in the city could probably use help with pre-production. None of us, myself included, with possibly the exception of my partner Jamie and Arnold Edwards, I don't think many of us have sufficient pre-production.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of us know what we need to do in pre-production at all times.
Yeah.
But if you've done some card work, that's at least scene breakdown for script work.
Yeah.
So anybody out there writing a script, need help trying to figure out how to break down your scenes, move scenes around. Gentleman has some experience with one of the best in the city, Craig Brewer. I'd recommend looking him up and seeing what he can help you do. What are you going to do next?
Well, I'm gonna finish out this semester, probably get a job over the summer, and keep writing, keep pushing forward.
You going to try to put together a project for the summer?
I'll try to. It all depends whether or not I get a job, whether or not, whatever happens.
Well, I will tell you.
I've got dozens of ideas trying to put together. Yeah.
I will tell you that many of us, I am the exception, and honestly, it's mostly because I have no vehicle and I have some sort of health issue or whatever with my leg, but I am not employed. This is what I do. Most of the filmmakers in this city have a 9-to-5 type job and still manage to do this. It's hectic.
Yeah.
You are learning from one of the best right now on how to get through some of the harder parts. The pre-production, the writing, and things like that. Stay in touch with us. We'll keep you informed when we're doing stuff. Come out on our sets. Sometimes it's stand there, sometimes it's work like a dog, but come on out, learn what you can. More importantly, meet and network with who you can. And, don't be shy. I realize you said you have a shy problem, but
Yeah.
you know us now,
Mhm.
and we are very, very easygoing people.
Absolutely.
Just come up to us anywhere, say, hey, what's going on? And if you have a question, like, hey, who's making a movie? Or do you know of this? Just ask it.
Mhm.
You're never going to offend me. And you're unlikely to offend my team. So,
Mhm.
and there are no dumb questions.
Mhm.
The only dumb question is the unasked one,
Yeah.
because then you can't have an answer.
Mhm.
So, get out there and let people know who you are. Let people see your work. And love, what was the title?
Love in retrospect.
Love in Retrospect by Zack Parks
On YouTube.
on YouTube. Go ahead and check it out again. We'll probably air it, here once in a while on the show to kind of help promote and get you out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see more work from you soon.
Awesome.
I'd love to see the 16mm work.
Yeah.
Let's see what that turned into. And if you have that digitized or put to disc or something
I
like
can
that,
I can get on now.
that would be
Mhm.
worthy of coming in here as well.
Mhm.
You have a very, very huge opportunity in this city to become something, I think.
Mhm.
With Craig Brewer on your side, you can learn a lot, make a lot happen for you. You discussed how you didn't have a location
No.
for your project, and
Would you like me to tell that?
yeah, I was gonna say, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about how that happened?
Initially, I was going to shoot at Ernestine Hazel's, and I was waiting around for a few hours to, meet the guy that ran the restaurant, and he just was not coming in. So I went over to Craig's office and I told him about it. He said, "Well, that sort of thing, you're not going to be able to have the money to cover those costs. So, if you had your choice of second place, where would you go?" And I said, "Probably the Popular Lounge." And he says, "Let me make a call." And he got me Popular Lounge.
Excellent.
And crew came in, we set up the lights and everything, and the actors were fantastic. They did great, fine work, and I'm very proud of it.
Very cool. Now, you had two different actors?
Yes, Andrew Trent Fleming and Stephanie Bennett. They're a real-life couple.
And how did you find them?
I'm friends with Andrew on Twitter and Facebook, and very nice guy. He just got into the MLB Fan Cave Top 30, which they're flying him out to Arizona to participate in spring training.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
I
Wow.
know, that's nice.
yeah, yeah.
Professional baseball.
Yeah.
That's too much running. I'm not much more athletic than you are.
Never mind.
Which is why I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah. But
I go to Redbirds games.
yeah, I love Redbirds.
You don't want to say you're an athletic supporter, though.
So I won't.
I remember one scene, the scene where Andrew's character trips. He was having a very hard time, trying to do it realistically because he didn't want to get hurt. I can understand that, but he just was not, he was putting his hands out in front of it. And I was like, "Look, just drop." And so I did it myself. I just boogie and drop down to the floor. And I think I did it too fast because everyone was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I just had to limp back to the camera.
I've done things like that. I was shooting a project years ago with David Tankersley, a local writer. And there's this scene where he pulls a gun and he fires at me. And of course, I take the bullet to the chest and fall back. Well, we were shooting it downtown in Harbortown. And we were shooting near that spot on the park where all the rocks form that little canyon where the water thing is.
Mhm.
So we went up on the edge of that, and I took the bullet and I jumped back and I hit the ground and I hit hard. And I started, head first on my back. I started sliding down into the rocks because I was a little too close to the edge of the hill, and I kind of bruised myself up and, almost created a real problem.
Oh, I've gotten stitches on a student film.
I'm just thankful you stayed 70 feet in the air when we shot.
Yeah.
And for the record, and I suspect he might be watching, I am still hoping that a day will come when a little bit of money can be put together and we can redo that project properly with our sound tech on set to make sure everything is right, with maybe another month and a half's worth of pre-production time so that it's not rushed because Forrest had, I mean, he was working hard on, I think, Rare Find at the same time as Glowing, and he was trying to do a lot of different things all at once. So some of the production was very quick. And we did, you know, all things considered, it still turned out nice. But I think I'd really like to see that production happen because I like the story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a gang tale
Right.
of a young boy who wants to desperately please the leader of the gang, and through happenstance, the gang leader isn't real happy, and basically strikes the kid down. And you know, it's, I don't want to give too much away just in case he does intend to bring it back, but it's a kind of a ghost tale, a little bit of a Twilight Zone kind of a feel to it. And it had a lot of dark elements in it, but I think it was a strong story. I think it was a well-handled story, and I would really love the opportunity to actually see that one completed properly. Just because it was one of the best casts I've ever worked with. I had more fun on that set consistently than any other set that I've been on, I think.
Oh yeah, we had a solid cast.
Just because everybody was so into it, equally into it. Like, I've been on, and none of my sets have been bad, don't get me wrong. But, like on The Bag, for instance, it was hard to have a good time with all of my cast because Jacob is young, he's got all that energy, and he was a little unfocused because of, you know, I don't know if he's bipolar or ADD or what, but that was a lot for me as a director to keep up with. It was a first. So, and I'm sure you've had a number of firsts as a director that, you know, you're always in a situation where this is a new experience, what do I do about it? You know, Sam Baer told us the story about how someone almost died on production of I Filmed Your Death. The first time he started filming it, dude almost drowned.
Wow.
And he, you know, Sam said it really affected him. He took some time off before going back to the project and restarting it. So, you know, you always have to be prepared. And, you know, I had you 70 feet in the air. I was no way prepared for that to not work out. And I could feel how unprepared I was the whole time you were there. Just the thought of you getting injured, the thought of it being because of something I was doing.
Well, I guess I got over that part kinda because Forrest did get in the harness. And
Forrest got in
was
the harness and danced.
I know, he was like dancing in the air. And maybe 45 minutes after that, I finally got into it. But I was kind of, I was like, okay, well, Forrest is heavier than me, and he's okay, so I was feeling a little bit better. And then, like I said, that was like group therapy. Everybody like, okay.
Well,
everybody kept going up to
as I
count
said,
the
you know,
marks.
everybody on that set wanted one thing: that production to be good, that production to work.
Yeah,
and that was a strong energy.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to, I don't want to remember his name. I believe it's DeMarco Postleway.
Man, I'm going to do it too. It's either Laprice DeMarco or DeMarco Laprice, and I can never remember that.
Anyway,
Postleway.
Yeah, Postleway, because my work schedule is kind of ugly, and I really wasn't able to attend the table reads.
Right.
But he contacted me on Facebook and said, "Hey, let's run line." So I started coming to his apartment in the morning, like in the days leading up to that weekend where we shot it, and we were running lines.
DeMarco, and this is another name for you. He has 2 jobs and a newborn, so it's almost impossible to get his time. But if you can get this man, the dedication and the quality of performance is unmatched by very, very few in this city. I was immensely impressed with him right away. To emphasize how impressed, it was our intention to give Travis Stone that role before realizing that Travis Stone actually worked better in the role we gave him.
Yeah.
Because he had more of that old school feel.
Yeah.
But when DeMarco came in and gave his read, I looked at Forrest and said, how do we tell Travis Stone we want him to take a different role? Because it immediately, just DeMarco's presence was huge. His personality was huge. Just everything about him was what we needed. So if you ever get the chance to work with him or meet him, he's a fantastic person. Who, what names in this city do you know for filmmakers? Who in this city have you seen work by that you feel you respect?
You know, I know Eric and Chad, and they both do great work. I've seen
Absolutely.
their short films. I really like the work of John Pickle. I like his, Pickle TV is literally funny.
I'm in The Importance of Being Russell. I play a clerk, shocker, named Bubba Dorito.
Bubba
Bubba
Dorito.
Dorito. I mean, I've been meaning to see more of his feature work, and I just haven't had the opportunity to. Again, I'm still learning. I'm still
Right.
trying to get people. And sometimes I'll just be like texting, does anybody want to, tweeting it, if they want to hang out, and they're all busy,
Yeah, it's hard to get people. Like I said, almost all of them, myself excluded.
Yeah.
Almost all of them have day jobs, or night jobs, or mid-afternoon
Yeah,
jobs,
bro.
or 4 hours here and 4 hours, 8 hours later.
And also,
we're all working.
And it also doesn't help that I live 40 miles away,
That is an issue. Must
Yeah.
make schooling difficult.
I just got to get up early, that sort of thing, 7:15 a.m.
Okay.
every morning. Yeah.
I do see being 40 miles out being a hindrance in socializing somewhat.
Yeah.
Any hopes of you moving into the area anytime?
I'd love to. I don't know when that'll happen though.
Well, you've still got school to put behind you,
Yeah.
and you'll be working with Craig for a while, I'm sure.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Craig is very good about keeping in
track
touch
of his
and
friends,
keeping
yeah.
track of the people that he does work with. I've got to hand him that.
Yeah.
In every way, my hats are off to Craig, because everything he has done for me and everything he continues to do for so many others. I think that about wraps us up for today. We're fortunate to have Mr. Zack Parks with us, and of course Mr. Seaberry, our impromptu additional guest. Not to cut into the time any, but it was very nice having you step in. I would love to have you come back at some point and sit down and.
Oh yeah, I mean, y'all are in a real cool location here at Black Lives Video. They have Disorderlies on DVD. It's a film where the fat boys play orderlies. It's great. Okay, it's awfully bad, but it's great in its awesome badness. This is a cool location. I will definitely be back again.
I often say that Black Lodge is a place that all of us in this community need to frequent more often, because I think this is our outlet. This is our shelf. This is where we can put our films, and it doesn't cost us anything to do it other than to produce the DVD and bring it here. And we don't make films to put on our own bookshelf. We make films so other people can put them on their shelves and watch them on their TVs. So please, Memphis filmmakers, put your works together, bring them into Black Lodge Video. Let people see the work you've done. Come on our show and be a guest. Contact the In Frame Facebook page. If you've got stuff on YouTube that you want people to see, throw us some links. We'll try to throw it into our shows, like you saw his film and like you saw the trailers we put together. We don't want this show to just be about us, and in the long run, we would like the show to be more than just Memphis, but to reach out to independent artists in Nashville and independent filmmakers in Little Rock and New Orleans and wherever else we can reach. So help us grow. Go to the Facebook page, like it, spread the word, and keep coming back. Thank you very much for another week from In Frame. We'll see you next week.
I'm Gary Haley, Business Over Coffee. It's great to meet you and to be with the great professionals that we have here with us today.
I think we influence each other just about who we are and how we act.
There's very strong studies done in positive psychology that talk a lot about the neuropsychology movement or empowerment through play.
We are bringing everyone together. Hi, I'm Sherry.
My name is Alex. I wanted to be an actor, but then I got involved in the wrong crowd, the wrong people, bad choices. I became a bad actor. But then I noticed Rising Fire Productions. They made me the actor I am today. Since then, I've been able to get auditions and roles. Thank you, Rising Fire.
If you decide bad acting in yourself or someone you love, Please don't wait until it is too late.